Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston. We have a problem. This is livecast 45. Holy smokes. Well, this is the week that wasn't. We didn't really have much pop like we were all hoping for with the futures rollovers. Looks like that hypothesis was completely blown out of the water. Although right at the end here we have a few guys going up. Metamaterial started climbing again. What we got happening before the close? Cost is going up. Metamaterials went up. GME started to have a little spike. AMC hasn't done much. As far as the other meme stocks, they all have weird patterns. Looking at all of them, Be Big, Blackberry, Clove. None of them have matching graphs, so it's a weird day all around. Those meme stocks, they used to match each other perfectly, like every week in, week out, and now they're not really doing much of anything. So we'll see. And I'm back, baby. Like the monkey butt here. Sleep under her blanket. And back in the office with all the technology that can possibly go wrong. So, and, hair's a little blonder. Skin's a little more tan. I'm rocking and rolling. Okay. There was lots of good stuff being asked in the chat before I even had a chance to come on air. Oh, Dr. Stock saying sailboat shirt. Nope. I've got airplanes. Pan Am airplanes. This is a shirt that Leaky Mountain gave me. Jake gave me while I was in Hawaii. So I figured I'd wear it on my first day back. Okay. Always On asks, why has cancer been so hard to cure? Is it just politics? Because technology is awesome. Oh, happy birthday. I don't know. Cancer is a weird one because cancer is a mutation of genes. So, your genes are usually signaled to do one thing, and if there's some sort of split and something else replaces the C's, G's, T's, and A's, all of a sudden you have weird stuff happening. So, like, let's say you've got pain in your elbow, and you're like, oh man, my elbow hurts. I'm gonna go see the doctor. So you go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, that's a weird thing. Let's take a little bit of it. We'll find out what's in there. They go, your elbow hurts because you've got a boob growing in your elbow. You have breast cancer. And that's because there's a gene inside your breasts that gets triggered at a certain age, and they grow. And then that gene turns off. Well, at some point, that gene can turn back on again because of a mutation. And if, that faulty gene starts growing weird things, stuff can strip off of that, flow through the bloodstream, end up in other places. But not all mutations are the same. So not all cancers are the same. Even if they have the same ultimate result of the cancer, a lot of the things that can affect it can be multiple mutations inside of genes that can cause that to happen. I think cancer is just something that is a result of getting older. The older you get, the higher probability you have of having one of these mutations. And if everyone lived long enough, everyone would die of cancer eventually. Just because those free radicals inside of our body that just burn and slice all of our DNA as we live and age. That's why we get wrinkles and bad skin and liver spots and everything else. So I don't know exactly what mechanism we need to cure cancer, but there's just so many different out there that I don't think one thing is going to cure it. I think it's going to be hundreds of things they're going to have to happen to cure all those things. Okay, Corey Reagan. Houston looks like computer share holding the entire float would break DTCC's ability to process trades. Seems like the way to go to force things ourselves. Would you reconsider transferring? And he also says, Sriand, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name, put out a new post summarizing as much, and GME Jungle has been on it for a while. Dr. T has been telling us for months this now too. I think there was a FUD campaign to minimize direct registered shares implications. Yes, you can register your shares with computer share, or theoretically you can. Right now, people are having computer shares are having a hard time locating actual shares to register. Why? Because almost everyone's shares have been put out there and lent. So, 90-something% of all the shares in people's accounts have been lent out. And so when you go to direct register them, computer share can't find the actual shares and can't register anybody. That's why there's only like 2.5 million shares currently registered with ComputerShare. Now, could this trigger Moass? Maybe. It can't hurt. But it's putting a lot of people in like a limbo as ComputerShare is trying to find actual shares and the brokers are trying to find actual shares so this thing can get registered with ComputerShare. And that's the issue is that lag between trying to register and when they can actually find real shares that they can register. So that's why I've already transferred brokerages once and it took 2 months to happen. I don't want to be stuck in limbo while I'm trying to get this thing registered. So that's why I'm going to leave it to other people. Hopefully other people will have more balls than I do and they register their shares and squeeze it that way. But I'm lazy and scared that I'm gonna be stuck for another 2 months in limbo, not being able to do anything with my shares. Nick Callis, any opinions on Wookoler? Half man, half pig. That's the man bear pig. Sucks your brains out through your nose. I've never heard of the Wookoler. I'll have to look up what weird cryptozoologist has info on the Wookoler. Is it all right? Is it a man top and a pig bottom, or a pig top and a man bottom? That's the question. I don't know. So I have no opinion on the Wookoler. I'll have to read up on it and then have an opinion on it. Put that on the list. Wookoler. Wookoler. All right. JT 2021. Houston, what's your thoughts on Charlie of Charlie's Vids losing his mind over ComputerShare? He was, he's entitled to his opinions. When none of us ever get things 100% right, I sure as hell don't. We can all point to things and be like, this is the thing that's going to happen. And then so far it hasn't happened. I feel like, those like weird cults, they're like, the end of the world is coming. And then it passes right on by and the end of the world hasn't happened yet. 100% of people who predicted the end of the world have been wrong. So, we could point to all these things, but you have to remember that we have an opponent who's smart and wily and with no scruples, and they will do anything possible to save themselves, and we're working against that. So if they could fight for one more day, they're going to, and then the next day they'll wake up and do it all over again. That's exactly what Citadel, when they faced bankruptcy 15 years ago, that's what they spent every day doing. They were fighting for one more day of existence, and it worked. So they're doing that right now, and so a lot of those hedge funds. And when we think like, oh, this is the thing, this is it, this is gonna be that thing, they definitely have a team of very smart people. They're like, how do we get out of that thing? And they're working on it, and they're figuring out loopholes, and they're kicking the can down the road constantly. So, none of us are gonna get it right 100% of the time. Some of us will get it right every once in a while, and pat in the back when that happens. But yeah, and then Get Real talks about Charlie has had screws. Yeah, he was streaming, I guess, loose change videos, and that's not my bag. He does a pretty good job when he's breaking down like the legal things, and I gotta hand it to him for that stuff. But not everybody gets things right all the time. Joel Sullivan, is it possible that every brokerage restricts limit orders during Moass to 5-10% of listed price to encourage panic in selling? I don't know. At the moment, some brokerages are lessening their limit order restrictions. So what were limited to like 50%, they're letting people go to 500% in some cases. So, and if I found out that if you're on CashApp, there is no restriction. You can limit order to $10 million if you want. So there's people on CashApp that have like put limit orders for $10 million and just set it and forget it from that point forward. But CashApp's a different animal. I have no idea how they work. I just know that it's weird. That my roommates pay me via CashApp, and that's how that works. But brokerages restricting, maybe. but I think it wouldn't be wise for them because the entire goal for this is to get it over with as fast as possible. And, if the price skyrockets, the price skyrockets. Why would you want to draw it out even longer and make it in the news more and have more people panic about the economy? You just want to get it over with, forget about it, print whatever money needs to get printed, and then move on. Get a lot of me clearing my throat today. Okay. Dre. Frequency cell therapy is the equivalent of Star Trek medical. Finding and using cancer cells resonant frequency to destroy targeted cell while not affecting other cells. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. There was a guy in Florida who he passed away from cancer because the government wouldn't let him experiment on himself. But he could take bits of gold and inject it into a cancer mass, and then use the resonant frequency of gold, blast it, and it would superheat and kill off those cells, and not poison the body because gold just passes right through the system, so it's a noble metal. But he passed away before he was allowed to do any human trials on himself. So, might be some cool stuff that comes out of that. Yeah, and everything vibrates at their own weird frequency somewhere on the spectrum. So I think it's worth a try there, Dre. Okay. Oh, no super chat. Nick Callis. Regarding Mars, timeout for atmosphere accelerates atherosclerosis. Could a long time on Mars might do the same? Well, yeah. Mars is about a third of our gravity. So a lot of time on Mars will mean that you will still lose a lot of bone density. Not as much as you will in 0G, but you'll lose a lot of it. So like in 0G, you lose about 5% of your bone density for every month you are in space. And basically, if you've been in space for a year at 0G, you essentially have osteoporosis. You won't recover from it. Your bones are so pocked and leached of calcium that you got little bird bones after that. Now, there's thought that people who, if they're born and raised on Mars or the Moon in colonies, that they'll have grown up in such a light gravitational environment that they could never actually come to Earth without dying. That their systems wouldn't be able to handle 1G of gravity, and it would just crush them. It would just snap their little bones and cause their organs to fail, and that would be that. They do a good job in The Expanse, showing like these people grew up in the asteroid belt, having to be in these water tanks to sit suspended in a water tank to like negotiate with the rest of humanity on Earth, and then they can get out of the water tank and go back to space again, because their bodies wouldn't have the ability to adapt to our atmosphere, our gravitational pull. All right, so I'm still not even to the questions that happened by the time the show started. So I'm already 15 minutes behind. All right, good job, Houston. Anna Rulnick. Hi, Houston. Which is more important? What university or what grad school do you go to? Do you think either indicators of professional success? Any advice to college applicants in the era of COVID? Oh, man. I don't really think it matters what school you go to, personally. As long as it's accredited, as long as the professors are awesome, and you get a degree you like, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, there are some programs that have better access to things. Like the reason I went to school at University of Hawaii at Hilo was because, it's top astronomy program, and you've got access to the biggest telescopes in the entire world. So if you want to actually have hands-on with the best technology there is, there's no better place to go for that. You just can't get that kind of access at another school because the telescopes aren't nearby. And so the internships for these big telescopes are filled by University of Hawaii Hilo students, and then you get a couple from like Caltech or Stanford or Harvard or whatever. But mostly it's University of Hawaii Hilo because they're able to like build a relationship with the scientists and get them as mentors. And that helps a lot. If you're going into building, satellites, you're going to want to go to Caltech, where JPL is. If you want to work with particle physics, you're going to go to University of Chicago or Stanford, just because that's where those technologies are. But just learning about the stuff, every professor that will teach you these things, they all went to the big schools. They all learned these things. They all did hands-on stuff when they were doing graduate school or research. And that's what you get. To me, geography was way more important than like the actual school itself. I could have gone and played baseball at Wichita State. Why on earth would I want to live in Kansas? No offense to anybody in Kansas, but I don't want to live in Kansas. So I went to San Diego. Why? Because it's San Diego. That's why. I forego a Division I baseball scholarship to play Division II baseball because of the geography, and that's what I wanted. The only reason I'm doing an online grad degree through Harvard right now is because it's online. I don't have to live in Boston because I don't want to live in Boston. They honk too much. I can't stand the honking. Just stop honking your horn for 5 seconds and let me get my thoughts together. No one honks their horn out on the West Coast, so horn honking just builds this anger ball inside of me. But I also had way more success in college than I ever did in high school. High school they just assigned way too much homework, and I hate homework. So I have other things I want to do. I'm like, I learned it. I'm done. I don't need to do all that other stuff. I don't need to do 500 homework problems for my math. I know the math. I'm done. Let's just take the test and move on. And college was much more that style for me. Granted, I was in the sciences. There really wasn't like a lot of paper writing, but go to class. The teacher just dumps information in your brain and then tests you on it. And that is totally my style. Sometimes take notes, sometimes not. Just absorb what they're telling me and then regurgitate it onto a test and move on to the next thing. And that is how my brain works. And as someone who now teaches, I do my math classes in a different manner. So if I'm teaching like a traditional math class like algebra or trig or something, I will assign homework, but I don't require it to be turned in. Now, this changes because I'll give a quiz once every couple of weeks on the sections that we covered. And if you get a B or better on that quiz, I don't need to see your homework. I'm just going to give you 100% of the homework. But if you get below a B on that quiz, you have to turn your homework in by the end of the quarter, and for that section. And what happens is that the students who got the B or better on all their quizzes leading up to the final, they rock their final. They're fine. They don't have to do all the busy work. The students who did poorly on those quizzes just dump this load of homework on me for 20 sections the day before the final, and then they absolutely destroy the final. Their grades on the final are so much better and higher than the students who got the B's or better on all their quizzes, because it's fresh in their brain, and they finally did like the rote, the doing it over and over and over and over and over of their work, and it just blasted into their brain, and all of a sudden something clicked. And sometimes people need that. Sometimes people need to do that trick or pattern over and over and over and over and over, and then all of a sudden there's something in the brain that just clicks, and they go, oh, that's why I'm doing it, and it makes sense. Whereas other people, you just teach it to them and it clicks right away, so why make them do all that homework? And it works really well. It results in the only people I've got to give bad grades to are the ones that put in zero effort and never did anything. And then everyone else does really well in the class and moves on, and they end up, loving it. I had a couple of students over the years when I was teaching at the Art Institute that actually quit the Art Institute and went into the sciences because they liked my math class so much. All right. That got me on a tangent. Let's see here. Oh, monkey bucket with attendees. Monkey, what do you get attendees? Jeez. It's like, oh, I'm back to just sitting here while this guy talks into a microphone all day long. Probably more smoked beef bones, I guess. Should litter them all over the house like I've got just the ghosts of cows wandering around my hallways. Simon, hey Houston, just tuned in. What about the futures not rolling over? Yeah, we apparently they didn't. That there was no baby squeeze as a result of the futures contract this time around. So time to go back to the drawing board and figure out why we were getting cyclical squeezes of AMC and GME, because we didn't get this time around. That's for sure. Everything closed today, and it closed kind of for the week, right basically right where they started. Aaron F., if I had any Costco stock or equivalent, would it be wise to close these positions before the Moass? I mean, Costco, they always seem to be fine, no matter what the economy does. You know, they I don't know. I'm not too worried about Costco. I'm more worried about consumer goods, like you know, cars. People have to eat no matter what. They're gonna go to Costco. They're gonna buy food. They're gonna buy socks and underwear. Yeah, but I wouldn't doubt if like the blue chips, Costco takes a dip during Moass. But you know, if you hold it long enough, it'll be right back where it was. So, yeah. Hawaiian Punch, your thoughts on Evergrande? Yeah, Evergrande is going to drop the world into one hell of a doozy. Now, they're defaulting on about $300 billion in bonds. They have about $200 billion in real estate holdings, which is around 2% of all the real estate in China. And to pay off delinquent bonds, they're saying, oh, we're going to start liquidating our property. Well, that's just going to drive property prices down further, which all of a sudden will cause other large real estate holders in China, because Evergrande is the second largest real estate holder in China, not the first largest. There's a group larger than Evergrande that owns even more real estate in China. And if Evergrande liquidates their $200 billion in real estate to try and cover the $300 billion in debt they have, at least a portion of it, they're going to drive the real estate prices down across China, which is going to push everybody underwater. So the people that bought homes and condos and apartment buildings, things like that, the value of those places are going to take a dip because of how much land and property is going on for sale. And then the other large landholders will also see, you know, their portion of assets compared to debt load, assets shrink, debt load would appear to grow larger as a result. And that could just trigger across China. So people are talking right now is the Chinese government going to just absorb those properties? Just be like, okay, we're just going to seize everything and that's it. Nothing's going to go on for sale. We'll just hold on to this stuff. Or are they going to allow Evergrande to liquidate? Now, my guess is that they're going to pay off their onshore bonds, the Chinese people who have bonds first, which means that the offshore bondholders, the 150 banks and institutions that have billions and billions of dollars in bonds in Evergrande, will probably never see a dime. So they're going to have to accept billions and billions and billions of losses. So it's going to be a big deal. And Evergrande is probably the first of more to come. We're going to see this bubble burst, I think, in more places than just China, and we're probably going to see it. I wouldn't doubt if we're going to see it here in the U.S. as well, because I mean, 750,000 foreclosure notices went out September 1st, and that's with like 30 states still having moratoriums on evictions and foreclosures. So you know, the courts in the states where those foreclosure notices went out are going to be full. And that means there's millions more to come for the rest of the country, because some states have it set for September 30th, October 31st, whatever. And we're going to have a glut of housing on the market as a result, because a lot of people aren't able to pay those mortgages. A lot of landlords can't pay the mortgages because people weren't able to pay rent, and those renters are going to get evicted and not be able to find a place to rent because their credit score went down. And again, it's going to go on and on and on and on, over and over and over. It's just going to be a downward spiral as a result. So I think there's a lot more to come in that realm than what we're seeing just out of Evergrande. It's just Evergrande is the first real big one that took a dive. Nick Callis super chats again. Can George force the cover of the Torchlight Synthetics? Ooh, I don't know. It might be interesting to see what happens if, if they're able to sell the oil leases and we get a pile of cash. That's one thing. I mean, that could mean billions and billions and billions out of pocket for short hedge funds. Or if they can't sell those oil leases and they actually roll it over into stock in an oil company, what would that mean? How would the shorts cover that? I have no idea. It seems like there should have been a lot more buying of metamaterials than there has been, and but no one's being forced to close at the moment. Even with the CUSIP change, no one's being forced to close. So I am curious to see how that rolls out, because the books have to be cleared eventually. There's probably billions of synthetic shares of Torchlight that got sold because they got shorted all the way down to 21 cents or whatever, and you don't just do that without like selling just gajillions of shares to make it happen. Just from Dax, is payment for order flow banned? If payment for order flow is banned, will it lead to the Moass? Can't hurt. But one thing it will do is it will change how we trade. So a lot of the retail investment as of late is the result of having no commissions on stock sales. If you ban payment for order flow, you will have to bring back the nominal nominal commissions that go on stock trades. Now, the nominal commissions on stock trades are pittance compared to what they used to be. They used to be like 2% of every trade, whether you bought or sold, will go to a broker, and the brokers didn't give a rip if you made money or not. So, and then it became, a set few dollars to do a trade, no matter what trade the size it was, and it just became this flat rate. And then the payment for order flow system allowed us to do trades without any commission whatsoever. So it was somewhat beneficial for the retail investor, but I wonder what system will replace it in that nominal commission area that we had before. So it probably would be good for us in general because it would take all the stuff off the dark pool. Or if they do payment for order flow, they got to do the payment for order flow in the exchange itself and not in the dark pool. We just need to see how many shares are trading and what prices, and have that reflected accurately with the price that's listed in our brokerage. That's what we need to have happen. Groff von Walbeck, metamaterial dividend must be before 12/31. Good to know. All right. Felix, Houston, did you see Boss Blunt's video last night with the guy talking about AMC and Pythagorean theorem? Blew my mind. I did not see that. I'll have to go take a look and see what that's all about. Hori, if an astronaut farts in a suit, will his organs tap out quicker in space? I don't know. There was that movie Rocket Man, not the one about Elton John, but about this guy that gets stuck on a spaceship to Mars. And the scene that really cracked me up was the two astronauts are tethered to each other, and one's just farting way too much. That cracked me up. Blazjowski. Hope I'm saying that even close right. Spurt Gree ripoff. Yeah, I mean, I had some Spurt calls that I think like $17, and all of a sudden they're worth a penny, and I can't figure out what's happening there, because Gree's trading at $40, and why aren't my share? Why isn't my calls? Why haven't they been adjusted to that at all? I have no idea. Like, either as a fraction of Gree or as $17 Grees, I have no idea what's going on there. It looks like if you got a spurt ahead of the merger, you won, and everyone else got suckered, I should say. Let's see here. Apollo God, Houston, hey bro, hope you had a good vacation. So thoughts on this week? GME options expiring today. Like if we close at 210, should we then not close higher as it should push us higher and so forth? I don't know. I don't know anybody's been playing options with GameStop recently because they're just so expensive. Yeah, today a whole bunch of them expired. What did it finally close at? 2005, somewhere in there. Finally closed at 204, 204.97 is where it is sitting after hours right now. So it closed at, 205 or so. Come on, give me my line. Closed at 204.97, and right now it's sitting 204.50. I don't know if that really pushed too many of those calls in the money to get us any gamma squeeze. But yeah, the next big glut should be October 15th. So we'll see if we get that stuff. Dr. Stonks asked, did you catch a cold in Hawaii? No, man. I landed in Seattle, and the minute they opened the door, I started sneezing like crazy. There's some grass seed or pollen. I don't know what's going on, but I am allergic to everything right now. So I sneezed about 500 times this morning, and I'm trying to hold it off right now. So I got my Zyrtec in me. I'm better than I was earlier, believe me. All right. Edward Conkle, didn't transfer my shares to Computer Share, but I started buying new shares from there. Just buying from TD Ameritrade and Fidelity, have higher XXX shares, but now I'm buying in Computer Share. There you go. Oh, did I miss? I totally missed one here. Let's see here. Okay, that's Josh Sullivan. I missed Josh Pals, Tennessee. Sorry. Happy birthday. Glad you're back, brother. How much would the Evergrande debacle affect the squeeze? I think Evergrande is going to affect the market in general and probably the bond market in general. So remember, Lehman Brothers went down. When Lehman Brothers died in late winter, early spring 2008, they defaulted on $618 billion in bonds. And that wasn't like the thing that brought down the entire market. It's what put everyone on notice. And all of a sudden people were like, ooh, uh-oh. And they were like walking on eggshells for the next few months. And then when Lehman Brothers went down that fall, that was finally just push everything over the edge. So my guess is Evergrande was this canary in the coal mine for these big bond-wielding institutions. And what we're going to see is someone else as big or bigger is going to trip and fall on their face as well. And that might be what pushes us over the edge. And there's several other things that can push us over the edge. You know, Ted Cruz came out saying he's going to filibuster raising the debt ceiling, which is great for us, but terrible for the entire globe. You do not want to keep the debt ceiling from being raised. That will crush the entire global economy. And, you know, the economy is already precarious as it is. Why would Ted Cruz want to be the guy to attach his name to crashing the entire thing? Like, it's going to go down, but don't go out of your way to be the one who takes it down. That seems like a really, really bad thing to do, because everyone's going to be able to point to, hey, it was Ted Cruz that single-handedly brought down the entire global economy, and he's going to get labeled as the guy who brought down the total global economy. Now, on a personal level, nobody likes Ted Cruz. There's that old Al Franken quote that was like something like, no, nobody likes Ted Cruz, I like Ted Cruz more than my fellow members of Congress, and I fucking hate Ted Cruz. So, uh, I don't see it being a big win in Ted Cruz's part to be the guy like taking a stand against raising the debt ceiling. Because remember, U.S. government bonds are the foundation for every large investment fund in the world. Social Security buys U.S. debt and uses that to invest in to eventually pay Social Security wages to our retirees. Pension funds invest in our treasury bonds. Hedge funds invest in our treasury bonds. Banks invest in our treasury bonds. Sovereign wealth funds invest in our treasury bonds. Why? Because the value is stable. It might not have much growth potential to it because the interest rates aren't insane, but the value is very stable and it creates this nice solid foundation so you aren't going to lose value on those things generally because we always end up raising the debt ceiling. Now, if we don't raise the debt ceiling, then our credit rating takes a bust. We default on that debt, and in the $29 trillion in bonds that are out there, all of a sudden reduce in value by a significant portion, pushing everybody to the limit. Now, if the one thing that's supposed to be a stable investment for the entire global economy all of a sudden is a stable investment anymore, then the entire global economy collapses with it. And it'll make Evergrande look like chump change as a result. Evergrande is 300 billion. We're talking 29 trillion. We could see, you know, $1 to $10 trillion in value just evaporate overnight if we default on our debt. So it'd be a stupid idea of Ted Cruz. I mean, more power to him, I guess, if he wants to be that moron. But don't filibuster the debt ceiling. Just raise the debt ceiling because that's what you do. All right. Jimmy Cap 247. Tuesday's following monthly options expirations have produced some big moves for GME recently. Do you expect the same for 922? Also, did you catch the volume spikes at 401 today? I did not. Were there a bunch of volume spikes right at the end there? Let me look at my... Bing. Oh, there is quite a few. Oh my goodness, look at those volume spikes. Those are huge compared to the rest of the day. Dang. Yeah, I'm seeing them now. Those are gigantic. Right at the end. I mean, we're talking volume that was 2 to 3 times what any other candle was during the day. Oh, thanks for pointing that out, Jimmy Cap. I'm not sure how many... does anyone have the data on how many calls went in the money today for GameStop and AMC? I'm sure quite a few did, just because if people bought a year out for $200, they're sitting golden. But that should give us an idea of how many shares need to get purchased out on the market next week. Matt Newton, hope you enjoyed your birthday in Hawaii. I did. So my friends couldn't get married because the Hawaii limited the number of people that could be in one spot. So we're gonna try again next year. So this will be their third attempt. They tried to get married Labor Day last year and couldn't. And they're like, oh, things got better. We'll get married this year. And they couldn't. So I'll probably go back to Hawaii next year as well. So if I'm in Fed Treasury bonds and they don't raise the debt limit, will those bonds take a big hit? Guess it won't matter because GME will moon. Also, when Sears special dividend, thanks. Yeah, your bonds will take a gigantic hit if they don't, if they default. Because defaulting is basically saying, hey, I don't have the money to pay these things back. All of a sudden, they can't trade for squat because why would anyone want to buy a bond that has no ability to get paid back? So it automatically will make U.S. Treasury bonds become junk bond status if we default. We'll go from AAA to junk bond, and that's not good for anybody. And you're asking about Sears. I have no idea when Sears will do special dividend. Their next hearing, I think, is on the 27th, which I think is also the same day that the sell button vanishes for retailers for those shares in the U.S. You can still buy Sears if you're in like Europe or Canada or elsewhere because the SEC doesn't have any effect on the foreign traded stock. So, yeah, so that's where we are. All right. Oh goodness, there's so many chats coming in. Let's see here. Bill Coin, computer share. Read the purchase and sales section. During Moass, you will not be able to sell your shares in a timely manner. It's not made for volatile stocks. Okay, there's something. I've not read it because I've not opened up a computer share account. So there may be folks that are stuck holding the bag, I guess is what you're saying. Interesting. Should look into that, folks. Manifest density. Could it be a big wag the dog dance like the SEC versus Moass? Push off debt ceiling, let it correct for a time, collect profit, and then save the day? Possibly. The big problem we have right now is that we've artificially kept interest rates so low that when the economy takes a big hit, we can't lower interest rates to spur lending and spur investment. So we're missing a huge important tool that we won't have. So we're just gonna have to just print money and print money and print money, which is, that leads to later inflation. We're in a weird spot. We may have to just do some sort of weird reset and go from there. I don't know. Bee's Knees Super Chats. Talk to us about Black Dragon. What's the play? I have no idea. They issued an NFT dividend to all their shareholders who are holding as of July 30th, I believe. And it went out on August 30th, and their price is totally been flat. Like, there's been no price change at all in their stock. I bought a whole bunch. I bought like 600,000 shares because they're fractions of a fraction of a fraction of a penny. But it's at like 0.0004, and every once in a while goes 0.0005, then back to 0.0004. So it seems to be just kind of pegged to that price and hasn't had much action. I'm wondering if there's ever going to be some sort of showdown between the NFT dividend and the stocks. Now the NFT dividend just sounds like some sort of coin they got. Nothing complicated and weird like what GameStop might do. A little more simple, like they just minted a bunch of ERC20 coins and then just sent them out to all their shareholders. But I wasn't invested in them prior to July 30th, so I have no idea what those coins look like. If anyone was in there, tell us about it. What is the digital currency that you got, or digital dividend that you got? What's that look like? I want to know. Okay. Tech paving. I've been having a real trouble using my seatbelt. Thankfully today it just clicked. Boo. All right. All right. Calypso, Houston Wade, metamaterial just printed over 19 million shares at close. What exactly is happening at that moment? Who is behind the trade, and what is significance, if any? Did they print those shares, or is that what they sold? Let's look at metamaterial. Let's look at metamaterial here. Da-doing. Da-doing. Oh, Jesus, that is a big candle. Holy smokes. I've got a candle here that shows 22 million traded at close. Holy smokes. That's wild. All the other candles are like between 50 and 150,000. That's crazy. What the other meme stocks do? So that was metamaterials. We saw a GameStop rocket. AMC had big candles. A couple. Pushing close to 1 million right at close compared to the rest of the day. Not as big as they did early morning. What about Root had a gigantic one right at close. Root did 1 million, and through the rest of the day was between 50 and 100,000. Okay. Costs? What did Costs have? Costs had a gigantic candle right at close as well compared to their 51,000, and the rest of their candles are between 0 and 2,000. That is a wild... what's going on with the close of all these things? What about Bed Bath & Beyond? Big candle for Bed Bath & Beyond. Clover. Gigantic candle for Clover. Blackberry. Some big ones at close, not the biggest of the day. The biggest of the day was about 11:30. Be big. Some huge candles towards the end, but nothing super gigantic. Naked big candles at the end also. What is going on? All right, what about normal stocks? What about JP Morgan? Big candles at close for JP Morgan as well. What is what? Okay, Wells Fargo. Huge candles for Wells Fargo at the end. Let's look at Facebook. There's big candles at close for almost every stock. Netflix has it. Starbucks has it. Apple's got huge candles right at the end. Apple did 23 million right at the end, and the rest of their candles are around 500 to 750,000 shares. Tesla is a gigantic one at the end too. 8 million. Goodness gracious. Another blue chip, Disney. Disney had one right at the end as well. Weird. Okay. So right at close, huge dumps of shares for a lot of stocks. Huh. Very, very interesting. Someone who's deeper into that stuff, let me know what's happening. Let me know. Yeah, it might have something to do with triple witching, as Get Real just messaged me. Interesting. Very interesting. Huh. Yeah. Okay. It's 1:32. All right, I got like an hour and 15 minutes here. Mech. Hey, Houston. Saw you looking at Lakeception a bit ago. I have a place on Lake Manitoulin Island. Check it out. Largest freshwater lake on a freshwater island in a freshwater lake. Interesting. More Lakeception happening. Roy Bolo, Houston, all my shares are in Wells Fargo. Should I be worried? I think Wells Fargo spun off their brokerage this summer. So I think that they're not technically part of Wells Fargo anymore, just in name only, I believe. I might want to look into that. Okay, I just got sent let's see, go to Scene, go to Google Earth. Oh, there's that first sneeze of the show. Let's see if more come. It's been winding down as the day's gone on. Where are we going? Where are you taking me? We are going to Europe. We are going to Italy. We are going to that. What is that? Is this the thing that was the teddy bear? Is this what I'm looking at? Coletto fava. Yeah, the pink rabbit. That's what was here. Yes, I think it's the outline of the rabbit. So they made a gigantic stuffed animal rabbit and they put it on the hill here like years ago, and then it melted into nothing. Let's see if we can find pictures of the what is it called? Coletto fava. I gotta turn Chrome on, turn Google Earth on. Coletto fava rabbit. Yeah, so this is the big giant bunny that they had there. And it basically just like wore away. It's kind of horrifying. Yeah, that's what's left of it there. That's what it looked like on Google Earth years and years and years ago. There it is, decaying into nothing. What a grand... I love hilarious art projects like this. There you go. Oh, wonderful. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Excellent spot. Thank you, Protege Son. No! Forgot to turn that off. Ah, okay. Guys. No, it's going to happen at least once a show. Stupid Houston. Just. If Moass is inevitable, couldn't you just buy contracts out in January 2023 equal to my shares and sell them when it squeezes? Why even hold shares? Huh. Yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not? Anyone know why not? I don't know why not. Why not? Enough shares are I mean, at this point, so many shares are claimed owners of like GameStop and whatnot that it doesn't matter if you buy more shares physically because it's already going to squeeze. So why not get some sort of futures contract that's set for way far out and then sell that contract for a cajillion, billion, trillion, million, billion, billion, trillion dollars? Pass your blunt around? You might be onto something. Yeah. Why not? Why not? I can't think of a reason off the top of my head. Why not? So, yeah. Huh. Huh. Yeah. Good. Excellent point. Excellent point there, Pastor. Okay. Let's try. I'm like so far behind on the chat. I'm like an hour behind now. Let me see if I can get some DM in Canada. Payment for order flow is illegal. My bank charges me $9.99 per trade. That's probably what we'll go back to if they make payment for order flow illegal. What they should do is payment for order flow should be fine. They just have to do it on the exchange and not via dark pools. That'll probably be step one. And if the shenanigans continue, then they can yank payment for order flow for good. Pass your blunt around. Super chats again. I had the same look when I thought of it. Almost thought I was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. I think you might be onto something. I might look into futures and see what I have to put down for futures contract and through what brokerage can I trade such futures. I'll have to look. I'll have to look into that. Ideas Matter 7707. Will current MetaMat holders get some of that special dividend when it gets together? No. It's only for people that had Torchlight prior to the merger. What was it, like June 28th or something like that? So if you had, no, sorry, I think it was June 22nd. If you had Torchlight and you held it as of June 22nd, you got the special dividend shares in your account sometime after that. And that's the only ones to get it. So if you had metamaterial, you don't get those special ones. Only the Torchlight holders do. Monroe Tyner, next drink, give that jar a good swirl for me. There we go. Water. Forest Fire. Sorry if you've already answered this, but what's going on with metamaterial squeeze? The CUSIP change was on 6/28, so when will shorts have to buy back? I would have thought they would have had to do it already. But apparently there was lots of shenanigans happening with Torchlight where the Torch shares were still trading for like a month afterwards, even though they should have been pulled from existence. You got me, man. You got me. I would have thought it would have happened by now because it happened at T35 for Newegg, so why wouldn't it happen at T35 for metamaterial? I want the sucker to pop. Needs to pop before October 15th because that's when I have a whole bunch of calls going on. So please make it pop before then so I can use all that money, buy a bunch of GameStop, and go from there. Or, as Pastor Blunt's around, perhaps buy a whole bunch of futures for GameStop from there and go on that. All right. Apollo God. I wrote that before close there was a post on Superstonk of the option chain for today, and it was crazy if above 210. But we didn't get so irrelevant. I don't do options though. Oh well, okay. Shannon J. Woods, if you had 30,000 on hand, would you take a large position on GME, just hypothetically? If I had 30,000 on hand, that's my goal. With my call options for metamaterial, is I'm hoping to get like that much on hand so I can dump it all into GameStop. I want more GameStop. That's what I want. But now Pastor Blunderround's got me thinking that I may want GameStop futures contracts. Herm. Yeah. Okay. Leilu, any thoughts on France recalling their ambassador to the U.S. because of our association with Australia and the U.K.? Yeah, weird things are happening. So, it was announced yesterday that the U.S., U.K., and Australia have made some sort of joint agreement to build a similar class of nuclear submarine between the three of them, and it pissed off France that either France wasn't invited or we didn't make a special agreement with France because France also produces nuclear submarines. Whatever. I don't think whatever's going on with that isn't going to last very long. It's momentary. Sorry, France, you weren't invited to the party. Bummer, man. Oh well. Nuclear submarines are, they are what they are. I don't think it's a big to-do. Apollo God, Houston, you should play GeoGuessr while we watch to see how good you are. It's a great game. GeoGuessr, I'll have to look that one up. GeoGuessr. I don't know what it is. My guess is you have to guess where things are. Maybe I'll do that for my next Twitch stream. I'll probably do a Twitch stream tomorrow night, I think. So maybe I'll do that for the Twitch stream. Free US, you think squeeze is going to happen this year and Gary is against retail investor? I don't know if Gary Gensler is against retail investor. I mean, he came out with a couple of strong points. He said the other day something to the effect of he has no issue with retailers hammering short positions. Like, he's like, hey, it's all fair game, man. If retailers want to hammer the short positions, get him. So I don't see. I don't know if he's necessarily against retail investors. I think he's being a little more methodic and slow than I want him to be. I want him to crush people sooner. But yeah, Ryan Super Chats, do you have any GMG? It's Graphene Manufacturing Group. If so, who did you use to buy it? Also, if Leaky Mountain is listening, take a shot. Whee! I haven't seen Leaky Mountain on here yet. He might not be on yet today. I do have GMG. It's traded as GMGMF on the Toronto Exchange, and I got it through Fidelity. I had to get special permission to trade foreign stocks on Fidelity to apply and do this thing, and then they let you buy foreign stocks. So I bought my GMG through them, and it went up quite a bit earlier this summer, and then they did $11 million share offering, I believe, to raise money for the new manufacturing group, and that brought the price kind of back down to where I bought it. But this month, at some point, they should be releasing their first commercial battery. This looks GMG battery. Let's see if they've... Oh, let me put on my scene. There we go. Do they have any news? News, here we go. See if they release a new battery yet. September 13th, Fuel savings. Line management update. Nothing about their new batteries out yet, but they're basically making their commercial batteries so they can test them as a plug and play for other systems. This means you can like make a little cell phone cell and take the ones in your current cell phone, pop that sucker in. It should just plug and play, and all of a sudden give you, like 100 times the charge at 70 times faster or whatever. And I think they're trying to do it. Also make batteries for cars. They can just take them out of a Tesla, put these ones in, and test them that way. Their large manufacturing center the construction should be starting about now, and they're going to build this huge manufacturing plant for these batteries in Australia. So that's what they're raising money for. But there's nothing new. It was a couple of days ago. Nothing big about that battery coming out yet. So, all right. Nothing yet. No news yet. But yeah, bought through Fidelity. I think if you get the option to trade foreign stocks, you can do it through Schwab, TD, E-Trade. Most of the apps like Webull and Robinhood don't let you do anything beyond the main exchanges. You can't do over the counter, let alone foreign stocks. So you're not going to be able to do those. Geoff Kuth. Gold and silver are down. Is this a good buying opportunity in case the economy tanks? Yes, it is. I was writing about this last night. People were pointing out that usually it takes the economy to actually go in the toilet for everyone to start buying gold and seeing gold spike. So there's a lag between when it goes in the toilet and when that gold spikes. So I think gold is probably a good thing to buy with your winnings if you want to go up another 50% or so. When the economy tanked in 2008, gold didn't spike until 2011 at $1,900. When the economy tanked March 20th of last year, gold didn't spike until the following summer at over $2,000. So it might be, months or a year later that those gold prices will shoot through the roof. So right now, it's probably a good time. Or when you get your winnings from selling all your GameStop and the economy goes, get some gold with that. I've never bought gold that method. I literally just get gold out of the earth and melt it in my garage and sell it that way. So I am sitting on a whole bunch of electronics that I'll probably smelt down into gold bars and sell those sometime in the next year if gold prices keep rocking. So yeah. Okay. Let's look here. All right, got about an hour left, folks. And I don't have to worry about a battery because it's plugged into the wall. We're so good today. No batteries. Like vacation Houston. He's out in a random park in Hawaii, tethered to his phone. Okay. Bone just writes, "You're a huge important tool." I don't know who that's directed towards, but I like that phrasing. You are a huge important tool. What's the ticker for Black Dragon? Cheers. What is the ticker for Black Dragon? It's BDR. I bought them with my Schwab account because that's what I use for all of my crappy penny stocks. Okay. BDGR. That's the thing for Black Dragon, and it's done pretty much nothing. Yep, it's basically done nothing. It's been flat at its current price for about a month now. Yeah. So their spike was in looks like the first week of February. Maybe they had their big spike. It was a couple of times larger than it is now, but at the moment, it ain't doing much. Sheep, ducking, cow, you. Hey, sir, vacationing in Golden, Colorado. Just saying hola from the mountains. Excellent. It's a good place to be in Colorado. Nice time of year, too, right before it gets miserable. And then it's ski season. It's wonderful to be there again. Excellent. I need to go back to Colorado. I haven't visited my diamond claim there in quite a while. Armando Antunes, I bet Houston likes pumpkin spice lattes. You're wrong, buddy. I don't like coffee at all. I hate coffee. The smell of coffee makes me ill. I do not like it, Sam I am. I do not like coffee in my can. So no. I might like pumpkin spice. I don't know. Maybe just put that in some milk. I might drink it. I have no idea. But if there's coffee in it, I don't want it. Okay. I am going to skip ahead to some chats here because I'm still like half an hour behind. Let's see if we can... Salty Dog 05 says Infinity Pool is not real. A computer share is stupid. Okay. I do think Infinity Pool has some merit to it. It's just you need to make sure that there's more than 50 million shares in the Infinity Pool, because if there's less than that, the Infinity Pool ain't happening. You think about it, because like if you've got 50 million shares in that pool, and they've bought up everything else, then they replace all the synthetics in those 50 million with real shares, and then they no longer need to buy those last shares. So as long as the Infinity Pool is larger than 50 million, then it can exist. But if it's smaller than that, it cannot exist. Mike Millspaw says 1960 Congress has acted 78 separate times to permanently raise, temporarily extend, or revise the definition of the debt limit. 49 times under Republican presidents and 29 times under Democratic presidents. Yeah, because you have to do it. I mean, debt doesn't matter. It doesn't. If you are a big economy like the United States, debt does not matter. Especially right now when interest rates are so low and inflation's higher than interest rates. So that means as time goes on, the amount of money being taken in by the government grows, and the equivalent amount of that debt actually isn't that big. So, this is why taking out bonds to do public works projects always pay off in the end. We pulled our hair out for the big dig in Boston. That's going to cost $12 billion to do the big dig in Boston. That's chump change now. That was 20 years ago, and we were like, oh my God, $12 billion. Now it'd be like $12 billion. Who gives a crap? That's nothing. In 1969, Seattle had the opportunity to build 40 miles of subway systems in their city for $900 million. And everyone's like, $900 million? That's insane. No, we're not approving that. There's going to be $900 million in bonds, right? And it would cause taxes to go up a little bit here and there. Now to do the equivalent in Seattle will probably be $1 trillion to do that many miles of subway lines. So, if you got to pay off bonds from 50 years ago at $900 million, your city government can fart that out right now if they want to. That's nothing. That's the beauty of selling municipal bonds and do projects like that, is that in the end it makes the cost of the project actually much, much, much less when it's finally being used than it was initially at the beginning because of that inflation. So, people like to say things like, oh, this is bad, but consumer debt is bad. Like, you got to take out a loan for a car and it's 12%, or your credit card's 28%. That's garbage. Interest rates on a bond are fractions of a percent. So it's free money, basically. That's why rich people don't pay cash for homes. They take out a loan for their home. Why? Because they might pay, 1-2% on that mortgage, but the home's value increases by 15% every year. And so in the end, they're paying less for that house than what it's worth at the end, because their money goes a lot further over that period of time. They can take, they put their 20% down on the house. So it's $1 million house, right? So put 20% down, and then they take 800,000, and that's what the mortgage is. The mortgage is at $800,000 at 1% a year, 2% a year maybe, because they're filthy rich. And then they can take the $800,000 and they can dump it into a Vanguard fund that gets 8%, and they come out on top hugely in the end of that. And they still pay off their house and get all that done, and the house value increases by 15% a year. The rich people have it way easier than poor people. Their interest rates are really low. They don't have to worry about overdraft fees and the crap we do. It's cheap being rich. It's expensive being poor. So you got to think like a rich person. Debt doesn't matter if you're rich. Okay. Jeff Kuth, Houston, what do you think about RJA, the Rogers Commodity Index? Did not get eaten by inflation. I'll have to look up RJA. I don't know what they are, so RJA. There's a lot of weird indexes out there. I'll have to look them all up. Big ol' sniff. Tough Gnarl, do you think the Spurt Gree merger was legit? Is natural gas Bitcoin mining environmentally friendly? It is not. If you're using fossil fuels to mine Bitcoin, it's not environmentally friendly in any way. You want to be using renewable energies, not carbon-based ones, to do that. In Bitcoin mining itself, it just isn't good use of anybody's energy. It just isn't. It's a highly energy consumptive process, and it's silly. It's silly to make a computer do random calculations for no reason, just to spit out a Bitcoin in the end. I mean, you might as well have computers, like, if someone's playing a video game, you may as well give them coins in the end, because if the computer's doing work and it's spending energy, that should count. That's why I had written the Boink guys at University of California, because they're the ones that had done the Human Genome Project by farming out computers, so you'd get the screensaver and you'd have SETI at home, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and they would take Arecibo and other radio telescope data looking for signals from intelligent life, and they would have people's home computers crunch that data looking for patterns. And they would give you credits just to prove, like, whose computer has done the most work over this last decade or whatever. And they're always begging for money. And I wrote them and said, just turn those credits into a digital currency that can be traded. And then all of a sudden, everyone's home computer is doing work for a scientific cause and making money at the same time. And it's a much better use to have computers crunching data for scientific use than it is just having random math problems being solved. I mean, basically, they're saying, okay, pick a number between 1 and infinity, and if you're right, you get a Bitcoin. And computers are like, 1, no, 2, no, 3, no, 4, no, 5, no, 6, no. And they just work their way through it over and over and over again. You've got thousands of video cards going bonkers. It's just a stupid system. It's so dumb. It is so stupid and dumb. We need better ways to mine this material that doesn't waste so much energy. I mean, put pressure pads in the floor tiles of elementary school. Every time a floor tile stepped on, spit out a fraction of a digital currency. Have a, I don't know, put it in people's pedometers on their watches, or put little windmills on the side of the road, so when a car blows by, the wake turbulence spins it, and that's what makes digital currency or something. There has to be better systems involved in making this stuff reward work than just having them do something completely useless that has no entertainment value for anybody, produces no results in the end that are scientifically viable or help humanity in any way. It just burns a whole bunch of fuels. So I still think digital currency at this current point is pretty dumb, and it's purely speculative, and that's all it's working for right now. All right. Did I miss any super chats while I was shitting on Bitcoin again? No. Good. Okay. Whoa, manifest density. Fidelity charged you $50 to trade GMF because it was a foreign stock. I don't think they charged me to do that. Weird. Maybe they just like me more than you. Neater, boo boo. So I don't know. I don't think they charged me for that, but maybe they did. I just wasn't paying attention. I just got a big look at SPY. What is SPY doing? Look at SPY. Bing. Let's go up to SPY. Let's go to SPY. There's SPY. There's view SPY. Ooh. SPY dropping down. Huge sell-off right at the close. Big volume. Right at close, just like everything else. And it's plummeting quite a bit. Down 1% on the day. Interesting. Huh. Very interesting. Well, SPY, what do you have to say for yourself? All right. All right, well, SPY is taking a big dip. Lots of volume on that. Tyler English, hey professor, nice to see you home safe. Hope you had an awesome trip to the islands. I did, got to see lots of friends, and had a good time. Brogan Brainstorm, who buys physical gold? How does that work? There's a few groups that will buy physical gold. I am registered through artminer.org as an artisanal miner, so the gold that I dig from the earth, I don't use chemicals on, and I can sell that for actually 115% market price through artminer.org. And then those folks can take that gold, and then they make them into rings and whatnot, and they sell them to yuppies who want to be able to prove that there's no slave labor and no weird chemicals used in their gold. But the gold I recycle, because I have to use chemicals to recycle the gold, I can't sell through Artminer, so I'll sell it to gold mutual funds. I'll go to mining shops where they'll buy it for like 95 to 97% the spot price. So if gold's trading at $1,000, they'll buy it for like 970. Cool, whatever. So from recycled material, profit's profit. Or I can take nuggets or ingots that I make, I can sell them on eBay. Half the time I get it right around the spot price for the gold on eBay. So I get pretty good money for pure gold on eBay. I still haven't done a large portion of silver yet. I have a whole bunch of silver that's been diluted or dissolved in nitric acid, but you usually want to wait for like a garbage can full of the stuff to really get significant silver out of it. So that's just sitting in buckets waiting. And I've got a lot more gold to recycle, which will pull more silver out of there. So I'll collect more silver as I do more gold. But those are the folks that will buy physical gold. And jewelers will buy it too. If you got a big chunk of gold, you can go to a local jeweler and be like, hey, I got a big chunk of gold. Do you want to buy it? And they'll go, okay. Because they're going to use it. They're going to make rings out of it and stuff like that. Earrings and necklaces and whatnot. So those are the folks you go to. You used to be able to actually sell gold at Wells Fargo until recently. They'd buy pretty darn close to spot price too. Like, hey, Wells Fargo, I've got gold. And Wells Fargo go, okay, give it to us. But they stopped doing that a little while ago. Mary Chang ever been to Dunn's River Falls? No. Let's see where that is. Let's see where that is, Mary. Let me go to scene. Let me click on Google Earth. Let me turn off Chrome. Let me actually go to Google Earth. We'll go there. Paste it. Duns River Falls. Which one? Oh, maybe I take the out of there. Dundee. Arrive. I can't find Dun River Falls here. Oh, that's because I deleted an N and I didn't mean to delete an N. I got Jamaica. Is that where we're going? I've never been to Jamaica. If this is what you mean. And nope, never been there. Looks lovely though. Looks like some cool little, I don't know, those fish ponds or those docks. What are those? A very nice pool. Tennis courts. I'm sure it's lovely, but I've never been there. I see little waterfalls here. That looks gorgeous, but you can't see it on yours. I'm sorry. Can I make it bigger? Can I? Nope, you just see a big white box. I see a lovely, what looks like limestone waterfall. Yeah, it's gorgeous in the jungle. People enjoying themselves. Cool. No, I've not been there. Oh, I missed a super chat. Dang it. Lugs. Welcome back to the mainland. You are looking more tan than usual. I like the paradise backgrounds. Have a great weekend. Oh, thank you, Lugs. I liked being in paradise also and having little birds around me, begging me for corn chips or whatever I was eating at the time. That was lovely. Maybe I'll try to do some outdoor stuff while I'm here. But while the weather's still, well, this weekend's supposed to be garbage, but I'll try to do some in the future. I'm gonna do some ski traveling in the winter, so there'll be what do they call them when news people when they're out in the field reports. So field stories. So I'm definitely going to go to Switzerland in January. So look for me reporting from Switzerland. I'm usually there right around the World Economic Forum because that's when the mountain is really empty and tickets are actually really cheap to get out there. And I can stay with my friends and go skiing and not have to worry about like lines. So look for that. That's coming. That's probably my next big trip. Rogue Death 98. Time to go to the crypto subreddit. The Houston is bashing Bitcoin again. Javier Hurst, did you bring any Hawaiian shirts from Hawaii? Right here, baby. Leaky Mountain gave this one to me. And I bought a few others. I wore those while I did shows from there. So I bought, I think, 3 of them. Thing is that Hawaiian shirts are really expensive in Hawaii. And the selection at Goodwill are usually the shirts that people who worked at like Sack and Save, the grocery store, when they lose their job, they give those to Goodwill. So they're not the best Hawaiian shirts that you can find there. Sometimes you can find a good one, but there really weren't any at the Goodwills when I went looking. Okay. Protege's son, everyone keeps talking about SPY in regard to the economy tanking, but never hear NASDAQ or Dow Jones. Is the reason SPY is the main go-to? It's because SPY is the S&P 500 index. There are indexes that follow the Dow and NASDAQ indicators, but the SPY is the big one, so that's why they talk about that one. Fantastic Jess. Houston, love the idea of a space elevator. Can you share some of your thoughts? Well, since we're already on Google Earth here, let's back out and we will... Okay, so we got ourselves the Earth here. Very earthy. Get ourselves to right around where the equator is. So the Earth spins, and it spins at about 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, right? So if you were a plane, like so, Earth's rotating, right? Actually, I'm rotating the wrong way. Earth rotates this way. So Earth rotates 1,000 miles an hour this way, rotating to the east. That's why it looks like the sun rises from the east, sets in the west. And if you're rotating the Earth and it's spinning around 1,000 miles an hour and so on, and you were an airplane and you're going from like Quito in Ecuador to, I don't know, Nairobi in Kenya, right? And you are traveling that distance from Quito, Quito to let's go Nairobi to Quito, right? So you're flying west at 1,000 miles an hour, and the Earth is rotating at 1,000 miles an hour. This is a weird thing about relativity. So if you were an outside observer, stationary in space, and the Earth is rotating by at 1,000 miles an hour, you would watch this airplane seemingly stay in the same spot while the Earth rotated under it, because this plane is traveling 1,000 miles an hour in the opposite direction. But to the outside observer, it's going to appear as though this plane is just staying in one spot while the Earth is rotating, and then eventually the plane just lands in Quito and done. Okay? Weird to think about. Now, the closer you are to the Earth's surface, the faster, the more ability you have to maintain speed without falling into the Earth. Because as you're orbiting the Earth, you're encountering drag, things like that. So you have to overcome those things. So if you're orbiting and orbiting and orbiting and orbiting, you're orbiting the Earth about once every 90 minutes or so, pretty fast. The further out you get from the Earth's orbit, you get to a higher orbit by traveling faster, but the number of rotations you do slow down. So if you are further and further away from the Earth, 1,000 miles away, you are doing less rotations around the Earth than if you were 100 miles above the Earth's surface. If you get to around 30,000 miles, you are in what's called a Geo Synchronous Orbit, meaning as the Earth rotates at 1,000 miles an hour, you stay above that same spot on the Earth at all times, and you basically can just point your satellite at one spot on Earth and always record data from that point on Earth. Or if you are a satellite TV network, everyone points their direct TV dishes towards the satellites above the equator, and that's where they get their TV information from. So these satellites are 30,000 miles away. That's why there's a little bit of delay on satellite signals like that. Now, a space elevator would come off of somewhere in the equator, somewhere along the equator here, and it would go out 30,000 miles out to a geosynchronous point and put a big giant counterweight at the end. So you have this big giant ribbon that would go all the way to the Earth's surface, and it would rotate with the Earth. Now, you would then attach an elevator, some sort of pinchy wheel system that would attach to that ribbon and go up and down. It would take time for the elevator, might take a couple of weeks actually, take a payload from down below up to where the geosynchronous spot is 30,000 miles away. But you could take a lot of material, and you wouldn't have to spend any rocket fuel. It would just be electricity. So you might have it solar powered, you might have it connected to ground power, something like that. And so it would just slowly climb this material up over the course of days or weeks, get that payload out to space, and then you collect a bunch of, ore from an iron nickel asteroid, and you bring it back down, and you bring that payload back down, and then you can mine that ore. So that's the basics of a space elevator. Now, things to watch out for with a space elevator are storm systems. But at the equator, there really aren't any storm systems with much shear, because most of the air is rising straight up. And terrorists would probably want to blow up some nuts and bolts that anchor that thing down there and see what would happen. It'd be weird if someone did blow up a space elevator ribbon. Space Monkey, welcome back. I see my puts on you coming home without a sunburn are paying out. I said I would super chat you when you aired your live stream, so here it is. What's your favorite band? Ooh, favorite band. Favorite rap group is Run the Jewels. They'll have my heart forever. LP and Killer Mike. Rock and roll. I'm a big Soundgarden fan. I love Soundgarden. I love the Presidents of the United States of America. I am a child of Seattle after all. Love and Rockets is really good. Who else would I put in the top tier? Of newer bands, I like Ladytron a lot. They kick ass. Death metal wise, Ooh, or just metal in general. I really like Danzig. Danzig really warms my heart. He's more like blues metal. Uh, can't go wrong with Death Clock. Brendan Smalls is a genius, and the fact that he turned a cartoon literally into the greatest death metal band of all time is just phenomenal. And congratulations to him. I really want them to make a final season and make another album so I can enjoy it. Yeah, I'm gonna go with those for now until I think of others and correct myself later. But thank you, Space Monkey. Okay. I did not miss any super chats. I got those. Excellent. I've got about 30 minutes until I've got jettison for the day. Bill Coynes, I'll chip in and buy Houston a big insulated water mug. But I like my, I don't know, there's like Prego or Ragu jar. It works fantastic. It's perfect amount of water for one show. However many ounces this is, I have no idea. All my other glasses are too small. Blazowski. I still might not be saying that right. Okay, you hate coffee. Name your 3 favorite books. Classical English literature, please. Ooh, man. Like classical, like Victorian English literature, because those never tickle my fancy that much. It's always some guy complaining about, you know, his jacket not being tailored correctly, or it's like some child urchin starving to death. Man, I don't think I have any of those in this room. Classical English literature. I mean, a lot of the classical literature I like a lot is from the Americans. I'm a big fan of Jack London. Call of the Wild I thought was brilliant when I read that. I didn't like Seawolf though. Seawolf was a little too abusive. Like I went through like 50 pages of this poor man being tortured, and I just can't anymore. So I never actually finished Seawolf. But I like Jack London's other books. But Seawolf wasn't for me. I did not find it entertaining at all. Meal 18 is too new to be classical, but Meal 18 was really good. Stalag 17 was good. Think of books with numbers in their names. What else can I pick from that I like a lot? Captain's Courageous. That's a good one. Actually, I think I might have. Do I have a little copy of that one? I might. I have a whole bunch of huge collection of Rudyard Kipling stuff here. Are you? I thought I had old Captain's Courageous. Don't I? Where's in the other room? Yankees. But, like, I've got Rudyard Kipling's poems and ballads. And let's show you how old this book is. Like, this book is from this collection is from. Where are you? Doesn't even have a copyright in here. 1909. There we go. So this is Kipling's works, and to show you how old this is, it still has a swastika on the back of it. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that's because this was Sanskrit symbol of like peace, love, harmony, and Rudyard Kipling lived in India, and these poems and ballads were printed in like 1909. So it was before the Nazis ruined that symbol. I've got a whole collection of his books. I like Rudyard Kipling a lot. And man, he was prolific. What else do I have in here? Where the hell? I thought I had Captain's Courageous. Why don't I see you? For being classics, the Tarzan books are pretty garbage. I have those. But, let's see here. Oh, man. Well, somewhere. I'll have to go look through my other old books that I got at garage sales and things that I hold on to because why not? Section. I hope that sort of answered a question for you there. Blazej. Is that you say that right? Blazej. Blazejowski. Blazej? Well, it sounds Slavic, and I'm probably butchering it. I'm sorry if I am. Okay. Thoughts and Prayers asks, what's the nitric concentration of those buckets? I work with 70% stuff and it's scary. Oh, nitric acid is friggin' gnarly. If you want to dissolve a body, it'll do it for you. It's about 70% is what you work with, and eventually dilutes out. So the more material that gets dissolved into the nitric acid, the less acidic it is, and then it's probably down to, I guess, it's 5 to 10% before it's spent, and then you kill it from there with essentially sodium carbonate, basically Tums, like industrial Tums, will knock that down. The stuff you really have to watch out for is the process with gold is you take the gold and silver mixture, and you have to make sure the gold gets below probably about 8 to 6 carats, below that range, and then you melt it and you pour it into a big old vat so it spatters into little tiny flakes and things. And you take those flakes and you dump those in the nitric acid, and it eats away all the material that isn't gold and leaves behind the gold. So all that material that isn't gold gets dissolved in nitric acid, turns it to this beautiful kind of teal blue color, and then the gold sinks to the bottom. You dump that into a filter. You got this crazy filter with a pump on it, kind of just sucking the water through and sucking the air out of the chamber, and then all the nitric acid flows in the bottom. All the gold stays in the filter paper. Take that filter paper and you dump it into what's called aqua regia. And aqua regia is like 90% hydrochloric acid and maybe 10% nitric acid. And then it sizzles and sizzles and sizzles and sizzles. And then you pour a little more nitric acid to keep sizzling, a little more nitric acid, until eventually you can't get any more sizzling. And then all the gold is gone. You may actually, depending on what the source you're recycling from, if there's lead in it, you might put a little sulfuric acid in there, a couple of drops of that, and that will cause the lead to precipitate out and making a lead sulfide. And then when you filter the aqua regia, because there still might be like chips of ceramic chips from computer chips and things in there. You filter that out and you get this really cool kind of lime green mixture. It looks kind of like Mountain Dew. And when you get that, you take your what's the stuff called? Your what's the name of it? It's a precipitator. It will precipitate out the gold. It's not sodium bicarbonate. We already did that one. It is. Oh my gosh, my brain is totally blanking as to the name of it. Anyway, you pour this other crap in there, and all of a sudden the gold bonds to it and sinks out. And it's kind of sulfur rich itself, and so you get this like kind of black goo at the bottom. You might pour that out, do another aqua regia, pour that out, do another aqua regia, and do that a few times to get as pure as possible. And then you take that goo, you filter it out in a piece of filter paper, and then you burn it like heck in a furnace, and then with a flux. That flux can be like borax and similar things. And I'll take all the impurities, and then you're left with your gold ingot that you can pour out of your crucible. And it's it takes a few days to do the whole process. So in the end, you get your gold, and you've also pretty much choked out all your neighbors with hydrogen sulfide gases that are filling your neighborhood. They're exhausting off everything. Hopefully not into your lungs, because it will kill you. And seriously, don't ever work with these materials unless you have a good space that won't choke you, because those gases will kill you. They will absolutely eviscerate your lungs, scar your tissue, and you will die quicker than anyone you could possibly imagine. So don't play with that stuff unless you know what you're doing. Learn about it, get comfortable with it, know what it smells like to be stuck in what's essentially volcanic gases, because VOG is hydrogen sulfide, and it will rip your insides out. So don't play with that stuff just willy-nilly. Those acids are gnarly, and you get a little bit on you. We wear gloves, wear masks, do all that stuff. And there's other ways you can get gold. You can take gold plating off of things. You can make a big pool of sulfuric acid, which is very gnarly, and you set up a reverse electrolysis. So the gold plating process is you drop gold into a liquid, you run electricity through that gold nugget, and it will peel off the gold atoms and stick them onto whatever you're plating. So if you're plating a fishing lure or a coin or a piece of electronics, whatever it is, they'll start plating on that, and you flip it over and it'll plate some more. And then you can do the opposite. You can run the charge the other way, and we'll suck the gold off of whatever's plated, and we'll concentrate it somewhere else. So you can take like a Pyrex baking pan of sulfuric acid, make a little copper shelf on one side, and another copper mess on the other side, and you run positive and negative on there, and so it'll flow the opposite direction. And you take your gold bits and you drop them into the little copper basket you made, and it will pull off all the gold. You see this foam and all sorts of things happen, and that sulfuric acid can get really, really hot. So you have to keep your eye on the temperature. You want it to flash boil on you, because that will hurt. And wear face masks. And it'll pull off the gold, and the gold will get suspended in the sulfuric acid. So you do pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds of plated gold, and eventually you can take all the other metal, you can throw it away, or if it has silver in it, you can put it in nitric acid, get the silver out, do those things. And then you take your sulfuric acid bath, and very carefully you pull the sulfuric acid into water and not the other way around, because that causes flash explosions. And then to cool it off, and then you filter that through your filter system again, and you take that material and dump in aqua regia and get your gold out. It's working with sulfuric acid is very scary. You have to make sure you don't let drops of water go in the sulfuric acid, because it can flash boil and splatter everywhere. There's some interesting videos you can watch on YouTube of people pouring water into sulfuric acid, not the sulfuric acid into water, and watching things explode. So be careful. Be careful with those acids. The giant disclaimer: don't just play with acid. Know what you're doing. Have safety equipment and proper ventilation and all that stuff. So how about that? there's your weird how to make gold stuff. Hoshi Gaming, you lost me in the too long didn't read, and gold and acid. Go burr. Inning is made, right? Pretty much. There you go. Okay. Cool Beckatron, wish you were in Florida. Hubby has 5 old computers you could tear apart. Man, old computers. I'm talking like Pentium Pros and older. There is so much gold in there. You can do... Man, some of those you can do 1/4 gram per computer chip. That's just the Pentium or the 486 chips. They're absolutely nuts. So you can do 1 gram after maybe 3 or 4 of these things, and 1 gram of gold is sitting at what? Let's see. Let's do quick math really quick, because I haven't thought about this in months. Wrong button. If gold's at 1,800, divide that by what? 37. So, gram of gold's at $48. I got another sneeze coming. It's coming. Happen. No, don't. Just sneeze. Just sneeze, Houston. Oh, it's not happening. I want to have, oh my goodness, it's right there. It's inside my head, and it's just not sneezing. Oh, there's not enough Claritin in the world to take care of this thing right now. Just the rain needs to come. Just rain this weekend, and my nose will be so much better. Okay. Lunar Swine, I didn't know you were a baseball guy as well. Thoughts on PEDs? I don't care, to be honest. That's your niche, then go for it. Go for it. I care more about Major League Baseball changes to balls and seams. Favorite team player? Go Braves. Baseball-wise, I don't believe in performance-enhancing drugs for professional athletes. It's just, it makes mediocre players good enough to take the jobs of actually good players. So just leave the PEDs alone. I'm sure I could have done greater things if I had put on 100 pounds of muscle by injecting things in my butt or whatever. But I don't agree with PEDs. I'm a square though, so that's me. Now changes the balls and seams. Now, when the balls were made in Haiti, the seams were actually higher than they are now. They're made in, I think, in somewhere in Central America, Guatemala maybe, Costa Rica, somewhere, I can't remember exactly where. But the balls are made in Central America now, and their seams are a lot flatter, so there's not much bite on the ball. So, if you can make a good 12-6 curve ball with a Major League Baseball, good for you. The seams are so flat in those balls, I have a hard time getting them to break. They're talking about raising the mound, moving the mound back, stuff like that, because the pitchers are just, they change the seams in the ball. The pitchers get absolutely raked, and there's too many home runs. And they go, oh no, we should raise the pitching mound. So the pitcher's pitching more down. So they raise the pitching mound, and all of a sudden, hitters are striking out too much, so not enough home runs. And they go, oh, no one's gonna watch the baseball game if there's no home runs. So like, oh, maybe we'll move the pitching mound back 6 inches. So the hitters have that fraction of a second they can hit a baseball more. So they'll move the pitching mound back, and then all of a sudden there's too many home runs. They go, oh no, there's too many home runs. Like, just keep it standard, man. Keep one standard for every baseball field, and keep it there. Just don't work on it too much. As for favorite team and player, I'm born and raised in Seattle, so I got to go with the Mariners. And my favorite player ever is Jamie Moyer of the Mariners, and later the Phillies. He's a absolute wizard. He and Randy Johnson are the two greatest baseball players after age 30 that ever played the game. Jamie Moyer prior to age 30 was a garbage pitcher. And he was a garbage pitcher because his head wasn't right. He did not know how to accept the type of pitcher he was. And he actually was at the forefront of sports psychology in Major League Baseball. And I have his biography somewhere up here, I believe. What? Yeah, I do. I'm not sure it got too much playtime, but it's called Just Tell Me I Can't. It's pretty quick read. And it talks about his his aspect of baseball and using his mind and overcoming the fears and things in his mind. Like, he was such a dominant high school and college pitcher. They drafted him, even though he couldn't throw very hard. And when he got to the major leagues, they're like, you need to be a different pitcher than you are. You have to throw harder and strike out more people. And so he tried to be this guy that he wasn't supposed to be, and he just got absolutely just hammered. And so by the time he bounced around the leagues, he ended up in Seattle in '96. And something clicked where they're like, hey, be who you were successful and just do that. And he's like, okay, I'm going to throw slow and slower. This is the dude that would throw like a 40-mile-an-hour changeup, and people like, ugh, like a Bugs Bunny, just whiffing at it. And then he'd come at him with an 80-mile-an-hour fastball, then a 60-mile-an-hour changeup, and then a 55-mile-an-hour changeup, and then a big swooping curveball. And what he managed to do was he would hit his target every single time, and he'd spend his entire game charting pitches. He would chart every single. He had binders and binders full of hitters. He knew exactly where they could not hit a baseball, or if he pitched it, you knew exactly would go to third base or whatever. And it was absolutely, he was brilliant. He was brilliant on the mound. And he pitched till he's 51 years old. He probably could pitch more, but they just stopped signing him. I think people were like, you're 51, it's too scary to bring you onto our team and pay you $1 million. But he would have kept pitching until, they finally made him stop. He won a couple of World Series. He was part of the 2001 Mariners, which was the greatest single season in baseball history. Dude's awesome. I could talk about Jamie Moyer all day long. But this is, if you're interested in sports psychology, this is probably your best introduction to sports psychology outside of like a class on it. He really was at the forefront of the mental aspect of the game. And like I played at Division III baseball. The players at Division III baseball, physically, they're as good as anybody who plays Division II or Division I. Most of them are head cases, though. They have some real issues with confidence and second guessing themselves, and so their athletic ability is wiped out entirely by the fact that they can't overcome their own mental blocks. So, reading that book is really great for, I think, young baseball players and just young athletes in general. Kids that are in middle school and high school, they can read it and go, oh, okay. So if I'm second guessing myself, I am now like 30% worse than I would be if I just didn't even think about it and just went out there and just did my task. So I think it's a pretty great read. And his training regimen was pretty phenomenal for being a geezer at times. Okay. Man, you guys get me all over. I love Friday shows because you guys get me all over the place on Friday shows. Okay. Imperium Steadfast. What is your favorite song from Death Clock? Awaken? Or I Might Ejaculate Fire? I Don't Want to Have to Kill You. I love that song. Where Pickles jumps in and sings half that song. I love that song. That's a good one. I also like Thunder Horse. I like, what's the one where they go to the witch and they lie to the witch about the fact that they're lost Vikings? I think that's what it's called. That's a good one too. Carlos Oreo Cruz, thank you for the super chat, bud. I greatly appreciate it. Oh, I missed one from Vanetta One Dimple. What would happen if thousands of investors went to New York Stock Exchange and put in buy orders directly with them only? Would it move the price? Probably. Although, if people tweeted out things like, hey, we're all going to go to the market, we're going to buy it this time, we're going to do that, that'll probably be seen as market collusion, and they may face fines from the SEC for doing that. So, that's I wouldn't necessarily do that. I don't want to go to prison over this. Anonym user, thoughts on Spurt merger and the bag holders? I'm one of those bag holders because I still have a $17 call Spurt that went from like 500 down to a penny. And I can't see if it's ever going to result in shares from GRE or not. I have no idea. So I'm a bag holder in that respect. Weird things seem to have happened with that merger, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they should have adjusted, like, Torch and Metamaterial merge. The Torch shares halved, so 100 Torch shares became 50 Metamaterial shares. So then your call options, rather than being 100 shares of Torchlight, became 50 shares of Metamaterial. Why hasn't any math been done in exchange between Spurt and GRE to change my options into some amount? I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I've got until October 22nd for them to figure it out, though. Okay. Fee rhymes with AMC. Don't sneeze on the camera. I'll try not to. That sneeze is still on my face. It wants to get out so bad. Get real. DDEEFFE. DDFE. The $10,000 question. Houston, how do we make LSD? I don't know. I talked to a pharmacologist about that. What was it? Test number 25 that was LSD. Is that the right number? Lysergic acid. I can't remember what the LSD stands for. I don't know. I'll have to talk to my pharmacology friend and get back to you on that one. Mark M., what's your opinion on IQ tests? Have you read about William James Cetus? Look up his IQ. Is he the guy that had the IQ of like 400 and then works at a Home Depot? Let's go to the scene. Let's get rid of Google Earth, bring back Chrome. James Cetus. Oops, I didn't. No, get rid of Google Earth. No, get rid of Google Earth. Bring back Chrome. All right, there we go. All right, sorry. Go there. I'm gonna click on this guy. Let's boom. Oh, it's the guy from 1920s. Okay. I've not read about him. I'll have to read about him. He's much more recent. There was a guy that had the highest IQ ever measured, and his dad like made him go to college when he was 8 or 9 years old. And by the time he was an adult, he's like, I don't want to be smart anymore, and like mixes paint at a Home Depot. And that's all he does. He's like, screw you, screw academia, screw everything. I'm just going to mix paint at Home Depot, and that's what's going to make me happy. I'll have to read about this guy, James Cetus. My deal with IQ tests is that they're very culturally biased. So if you weren't raised in a traditional Western white family, a lot of the test isn't going to make sense to you, and it's not going to be intuitive. So it's very biased towards white people because it was written by white people. And it doesn't take into account a lot of like other forms of genius, artistic genius, mechanical genius. One of the smartest people I know, she's a high school graduate and she's a badass. She works on high tension power lines, builds hot rods, is a professional snowboarder. But as a mechanical genius, she can look at a system of electronics or machinery and instantly get it the way that I can get a math equation. And it is a type of genius I wish I had. She can go, oh, this is the problem with this whole system right here. With having no familiarity with the system, can work on anything. And it's a way more practical genius than what a lot of people have. I'm teaching at the art school for so long. I get these students and they're like, oh, I'm so bad at math. I'm so terrible. I'm a stupid idiot. And then they would make the most amazing pieces of art that I could never imagine in a million years being able to produce. Everyone has their specialty and what they're good at, and it may not necessarily reflect with what is appreciated by most people. Some people are geniuses with a basketball. Some people are geniuses with a paintbrush. Some people are geniuses with balancing on a rope. Like, there's all sorts of talent and genius out there in all sorts of different realms that IQ tests cannot measure. And if any of you have ever been to a Mensa meeting, it is the most boring goddamn place ever. It's a bunch of people that want you to look at them as if they are the greatest thing in the entire world, playing a bunch of Mensa puzzles and then patting themselves on the back for solving them. Whoop-de-whoop-de-doo. Mensa is such a... The scam behind Mensa is so brilliant because you'll pay them to take a test. And if you pass the test, you'll pay them to tell you that you're so smart. Right? Like, oh, you're so smart. Pay us $50 a year and we'll tell you you're so smart. It's a brilliant scam. And if you notice, every single solitary online IQ test you have, everyone gets an IQ score of 135, where they're smarter than everyone else, but they're not super genius. They're just 135. You can answer one of those IQ tests completely wrong the whole way, and it'll be like, oh, congratulations, you got IQ of 135, because it's that sweet spot that'll make dumb people feel like they're really smart. And but they know they're not so smart that like they're Einstein or anything, but they managed to be just smart enough so it's like just shy of being a Mensa, but not so dumb that you're like everyone else. The average IQ is only what 105, which means half people on Earth are below 105, and that's pretty dumb. Let's face it. If your IQ is below 100, you're just not that bright. Doesn't change the fact that you know you don't have other skills or tasks or aren't a good person. It just means that you're going to be going to the grocery store and you're going to be complaining about the fact that your coupon's expired and you want them to still make it work. And you're holding up the line and you're just pissing everyone off. So don't be that guy. But IQ tests in general, they might mean something when someone has an IQ of like 400 and absolutely just blows the entire thing out of the water. But for most people, I don't put much stock in it. Web Twerp, Moyer is also one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He is, and his Moyer Foundation is absolutely insane. I mean, I think they built it to over $100 million that they've donated. He made quite a living over his career, and he's got like 500 kids. But yeah, I think they're well over $100 million that they've donated through the Moyer Foundation to all sorts of causes. They're good folk. They are good folk. Okay, I gotta shut it down here, folks. Let me find one more good question to end on for the day. And DDF, have you heard Doc Willis' story? Pitched a no-hitter on LSD. Yeah, he also lost that game. He pitched a no-hitter and lost. Okay. J-Dog, you don't want me to talk string theory. I will destroy any ideas you have about string theory. String theory is bupkis. String theory is nothing predicted by string theory has come true in over 50 years. Every single solitary hypothesis they made has been wrong. We can go into string theory long. I have a long rant on string theory I can do. We'll do that another day. You gotta get me early on the Friday before I gotta go. So, let's see here. What good question can we end on for the day? Mike Millspa, do you think it's possible for a lab to develop an Edison Theranos blood testing machine based on finger prick versus blood draws that actually works? Elizabeth Holmes. Perhaps, but the technology doesn't exist right now. If there were someone to do it, it would probably be No Labs. They're the ones I talked about that have the Fitbit bracelet that can read blood glucose levels. Basically, their technology works like a tricorder device of Star Trek. It can figure out what molecules or elements are inside of anything. So if you want to know if you have cancer in you, they could scan you for certain, readings that would read, oh, this is a cancerous cell. And it could tell you that stuff. So you might even need a blood prick. But if that technology exists, No Labs is probably going to be the one that does it. Or at least someone leases the patent from them to develop their own stuff towards it. They're going to be just a gigantic company in the next decade. Once they get FDA approval on their Fitbit for reading blood glucose levels, they will corner the market on diabetics in this country, which will be $100 billion company all of a sudden. And then they'll have all the money in the world to take this technology and apply it to, they can point it at a pile of rocks and tell you exactly what the mineral content is of those rocks and give you and tell you, oh, this is going to be economical for you to mine for metals. Or they're going to point it at something else and tell you what's inside of it. It's absolutely wild. All right, Space Monkey. Also, why should your favorite band be They Might Be Giants? Oh, They Might Be Giants is one of my favorite bands. I've put in the top 20 for sure. They're brilliant. There's a great article from like 1988. Automobile Magazine gave them a Chrysler Town and Country and sent them out like do their tour, their world tour, the Chrysler Town and Country. And the article that they wrote about touring the country in this Chrysler minivan is brilliant. I think it was 88. I have a copy of it somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. They have Giants. They're a brilliant band. They're absolutely wonderful. Okay, I got to go, folks. I don't know if I'll have a chance to do a show this weekend, but I will try to do a Twitch show tomorrow night. I might play that Geo guessing game, GeoGuessr. I'll try to play that game maybe tomorrow night on Twitch and see if that works. All right, folks, have a great weekend. I'll catch up with you later. Let's do this again real soon. Okay, I got to click on